So here's this like $80 Strat knockoff right out of the box from Rocktile, and so far it makes a pretty good impression. There is a little blemish on the fingerboard, you know, there's like a knot right here and stuff, but overall it makes a pretty good impression. The fit on the neck joint is not so super. You could probably just about slide a business card in there. That's not so great. Although my Fender USA is also not like a perfect fit. I'm looking here, see that where the bridge is attached, either the pick guard is cut a little funny or the bridge is at a little angle. I have to measure that because you can see it's definitely wider here than it is here. Okay, this is the typical like inexpensive guitar stuff, but we'll see how it can get to where it can get to when I get it intonated and such. As you can see, everything's set like in a straight line right here, and when you look at the action, you can see that, you know, it's fairly high and it's just one level sort of string height all the way across. You know, I generally like to get my highest and lowest strings just a tiny bit lower, even if the neck is not really a tremendous curve on it. I like to get it set like that. Anyway, color's nice, overall materials are good, and just acoustically it sounds pretty good already. And we're gonna get it set up and then plug it into an amp and compare it to the Fender Strat and see what we think. Okay, after a couple minutes of fiddling around, got everything intonated here. Alright, always a good test is play some chords way up top with an open string and see how they're hanging in. Okay, so anything up above the 12th fret. So here are the contenders side by side. Kind of hard to tell from this angle who's Fender, who's the cheapo imitation. But here we have the Fender on the right and the Rocktile on the left. After a little bit more of messing around with the Rocktile, I found that there are some serious electronic problems with it. The tone control that normally should be controlling the tone on the bridge is actually controlling the tone on the middle pickup, which is strange. On Strat, you obviously want to have that tone controlling the tone of your bridge pickup to kind of be able to control a little bit of that harsh treble bite that pickup has. So that's definitely a problem. All in all, this guitar will be going back. It is at the range of its adjustment also. Down here at the high E string, I want to get a real close on that. You can see if I was to try to move that bridge saddle any closer, it would bump into the screw. And so if the intonation were to be off further for any reason, that would be the end of it, and the guitar becomes, well, one of those cheapo, unplayable guitars because you can't intonate it. So that's just one of those things to keep in mind. The Fender, you know, you get in close and you look at the finish here, bridge to pick guard and everything, it's just perfectly even. Everything's well cut. Here you look at it on the knockoff, and it's not so obvious from this angle, but you have a sort of asymmetrical bridge set there. It's not close enough on the high E string side, hence having to drive this one in a little bit closer to balance out the scale length and get the intonation right. So those are just those little minor details, but they do add up to be quite a big difference when it all comes down to it. So now onto the sound test. I'd like to note one more thing before doing the sound test. Right now this is the Fender Strat, one-piece maple neck all the way through, and that includes the fingerboard. If this was the kind with a rosewood fingerboard, that of course would be glued to the top of the maple neck. Now on the Fender Strat knockoff, you've got, and I'll try to show you when I switch to that guitar, you've got a maple fingerboard glued to the top of a then somewhat thinner maple neck. Now do something like here where you've got this C-shaped G chord up here with 10th fret G and the open G string are the same note, right? Do this a little bit. Now you get a minimal amount of neck whip here. If you really push it hard, you can get it to go a little out of tune. Now on the other guitar, when I do that, you'll hear it bends significantly. Now throw on a heavier set of strings and take that into a live situation where you're pushing and moving around. You're going to have a guitar that's going out of tune a lot. So I'm not impressed. Not impressed with that one. So that's points against it. Now we'll just go on the sound side of things. Let you decide. In a Fender 65 Reissue Reverb, amp, and here's some sounds in direct comparison. I'll switch back and forth between the guitars. Okay, over to the cheapo. This is not nearly as fun to play as the Strat, my opinion. Neck and middle pickups. Let's do like this here, typical kind of Strat sound. That's the 9 strings doing that a little bit when I'm bending them out of tune, but the pickup sound, I can hear it already. It's just kind of anemic. Now, even if you love the playability of the guitar, you're going to have to get better pickups for this thing. So what is another set of pickups going to cost you? Some decent ones. A thing to consider if you're going cheap. Middle pickup alone. Okay, now the bridge and middle pickups. What do we do here? Let's just do this. That's with that chord there. Okay, again, you'll hear the neck whip on the knockoff Strat. Okay, you hear that? Now that's this neck thing happening here, the neck fingerboard thing. Let me see if I can get in really close where you can see that. See if it comes into focus. You can see the shades of difference there. You can see that maple fingerboard attached to the top of this very thin neck. Okay, and you can also see right up here. Yeah, there you go. You can see how thick that is. Just right where the truss rod hole comes to. You see another sort of shade of wood there. Okay, now this is really thick piece of maple that's going down the whole neck, and like I said, there are blemishes in this too. Here on the fingerboard, there's like a knot right here. Okay, and those kind of things just don't speak to strength and stability to me. I'm actually more disappointed than I thought I would be with this guitar at this point. So now the bridge pickup, and a good test of the bridge pickup is pick down close to the bridge as well and see if that sound gets harsh or unpleasant. All right, let's check out the other guitar against that. Okay, that's those 9 strings again doing that. I'm pushing harder than I should with those. Okay, if you got a lighter touch, you can get it to hold, but I don't dig the tone. All right, buyer beware. What seemed like something very similar to a Strat, a really good knockoff perhaps, turned out to be not nearly the build quality and sound of the real Fender Strat, in my opinion. All right, so I'm a fan of inexpensive guitars. I've got this Höfner Colorama right here, and this is an excellent guitar for $200 or less. This one really plays well, really sounds good. The fit and finish as well as the construction is top-notch. There are cheap guitars you can get that are really great. In this case, this sort of Chinese factory Strat knockoff rebranded. In this case, Rocktile. In other cases, they've got a variety of different names on them around the world and in different stores. Look at points of the construction if you're looking at an inexpensive guitar like that. I would probably recommend you go straight away for a Squier Strat. I think the quality control on those and the actual construction methods are really good. So is it worth getting a Fender because of the brand name? Well, not necessarily because of the name itself, but the quality control that goes into it, the actual construction practices are what make it worth getting a guitar of a higher caliber. To be fair, this is a guitar that cost about 10 times as much as this one, so it's unfair to make that comparison, but at something that costs maybe a third of this, $200 or a little more for a Fender Squier Strat, if you're a beginner and you're looking for a good Strat to get into, do that. That would be the one that you can use as a mod platform then to maybe improve electronics and pickups. In this case, this one's going back. Sorry.